here's Ed Bernstein.
This was a great week for Las Vegas hockey. Yeah, Las Vegas Golden Knights picked a team, and I'll be talking to Bill Foley. This is also it's always a great week for Chris Phillips, also known as Zoe Bowie, Las Vegas's premier entertainer. We'll be right back. So with me is Bill Foley, one of the majority owner of the Las Vegas Golden Knights. And this has got to be the most exciting week of your life, I would think.
This has been unbelievable. I got in on Saturday before we got the expansion protected list. And we've been working Saturday night, all day Sunday once we got the protected list. Sunday was kind of quiet because we anticipated a lot of teams contacting us and doing deals, and it didn't really happen. They were all absorbing, trying to figure it out. We think about a third of the teams didn't really understand the mess they were in. And then Monday was unbelievable. They went until 12, I left. They went till 12 midnight or 1 a.m. and they started again this morning at 7 a.m. and we're still going hard, still going strong.
Where did your passion for hockey develop?
When I was a kid in Ottawa, Canada, I played hockey. I wasn't any good, but we played. You started playing in October and you finished in kind of April because the weather's, of course, terrible. You know, it snows and it's cold and freezing. So we skated the canals and we played pond hockey on all the ponds around town.
And pond hockey. Same rules though, or different?
Well, it was a little looser. He didn't really, when I was
no referees?
Well, not really, and it was sort of like pickup games, and it was 3-on-3s and 4-on-4s, and the goalie usually got hammered, but we were kids. I was 8, 9, and 10. So.
But you were born in Texas, but you really grew up in Ottawa?
For 3 years. My dad was in the service, so we lived up there for 3 years, and it was a great experience. It was fun.
And then you went to West Point,
right?
Joined the military, became an attorney.
Went to law school.
So tell me how you go from being a lawyer to owning a professional sports team. I want that lesson.
Well, I was never a very successful lawyer like you, so I was always on the catch-up curve. I really wanted to get in business after law school, so I practiced law for about 8 or 9 years, and then I converted and transitioned to business and bought a company and kind of built the company, and that company today is Fidelity National Financial, which is a
title company.
A title company, yeah. We have about 42% national market share. We started with 0.2%, so we built it from nothing into something. And so that company and the companies that spawned and spun off are about $52 billion in market cap today.
Well, and how long has that company been in Las Vegas, been doing business in Nevada?
Well, I mean, we've been in Nevada for a long time. The headquarters of the company is still in Jacksonville, Florida, but out here we have kind of a major regional office for Fidelity National Title Group. We also have our corporate headquarters for Fidelity National Financial Ventures, which is our deal shop. That's where we do our transactions, so separate public company. And that's actually here in this building in Las Vegas.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're about to, have a hockey team, which has been amazing. Look, you created this excitement a number of years ago in Las Vegas, and I was one of those people. I mean, I've lived here for 40 years, but I grew up in Philadelphia, so I've been a hockey fan since 1967.
The Snyder family.
When Ed Snyder and his family, when they started the Flyers franchise. Now, that franchise came in '67. By the mid-'70s, the Flyers were playing in the Stanley Cup, which is relatively a quick ascent for an expansion team, right?
It's a quick ascent. It can be replicated.
That was my question. You anticipated that.
It can be we can replicate that.
I mean, because Nashville, it took them a whole lot longer to get
17
years.
19 years.
19 years to get into the Stanley Cup playoffs, which you must have found very exciting.
I thought it was great because it validated. I mean, the Kings and the Ducks and so on. I mean, they've been very successful non-traditional hockey market teams. The Panthers made the Stanley Cup finals, I think in their first or second or third year. Tampa Bay's been very strong. But Nashville getting there all the way, and what they did being the 8th seed in the West, it was really a pretty phenomenal accomplishment.
Right. I mean, they just made the playoffs by the skin of their teeth.
By the skin of their teeth.
Right. But then, you know, they rallied. So much of this, it seems to me, is timing. Is when you're maximizing, you know, your team at the right time.
Absolutely. And you've got to build. You've got to build from the ground up. You've got to build from the net out, and you've got to build from the ground up, and that's what we're going to be doing. So George McPhee, our GM, is working very hard on developing our basket of draft picks for us to start building that pipeline. But then we're also focusing and targeting on prospects that would otherwise be exempt, but we're giving up perhaps a proven player today to go for a 20-year-old prospect who we believe is going to be with us for 10 years, 12 years. And that's how we're going to get in the playoffs in 3. And my goal is to win the Stanley Cup in 6 or 7, period.
Well, but getting back to starting out in Las Vegas and creating the buzz in this town, I mean, you did a magnificent job of doing that. I mean, we were a hungry city to begin with, I think. You know, we never had a professional sports team. You came here, I mean, and you've emphasized a lot of community involvement. And you've really, and I know you have a foundation that's very active in charitable causes, but it seems to me from the outside that you're really committed to engaging with the community and becoming a city organization.
We really are. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to emulate a few other teams that have been successful in that regard, like Tampa, Nashville, the Ducks, the Kings. And so they came to town, and then they started building ice rinks, and they started developing youth hockey, and so they built their fan base that way. And that's our long-term plan. So 15 years from now, there should be 12 or 14 sheets of ice around this valley.
Right. You have to create those ponds that you had in Ottawa,
absolutely.
Here in the desert, right?
Absolutely.
In a different way, because a lot of this seems to me to be educational. You know, like I sit there with my wife and watch a hockey game, and and she, gets the excitement of it, but she doesn't totally understand the lines and the penalties and that type of thing.
But this last playoff season was unbelievable. My wife's the same way. She knows nothing about hockey or knew nothing about hockey. But when we're sitting watching a game, well, what is that? Explain offsides to me. Right. What's icing? I don't quite understand that. What's hooking the net? What's this? What? Right. And so by the time we got through with the Penguins and Nashville and through the Stanley Cup, she was in there screaming for the Penguins. She loved it.
If you were to try to describe the type of characterization of the Las Vegas Golden Knights team that you're anticipating having, how would you describe what you're looking for?
Yeah, we're going to have a team of character, and you said it. And this is going to be a team that never gives up and never gives in. That's why I was so focused on being the knight, the protector of the unprotected, and and I like the name Golden Knights because Nevada is the largest gold-producing state in the country. And then we worked hard on the logo because we wanted this shield and helmet that emulated power and loyalty, valor, duty, and and our players are going to be great on the ice, but the people we're drafting are all men of character. They're going to be in the community. You won't see them on the news. If they're on the news, they won't be here long in terms of doing something that's not quite right. They're going to be strong, good players and people, and that's what hockey players are. Hockey players are soldiers.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the people you've already hired. George McPhee. What was it about George that attracted you?
Well, he typifies the type of individual we want to have working for our company. So he's a lawyer. He's an ex-hockey player. He was actually a fighter. He's a small guy, but he was a fighter. But he, again, is very organized, diligent, honest, trustworthy. And when he talks to these other general managers, as he's been doing this past week, and doing transactions and agreeing to transactions, they all know they can trust him and they can believe him. And what he's done is he's hired people of character all around him. Our scouts, our assistant GM, our director of player personnel. And everyone starts out, okay, what's this going to be like? What's this ownership going to be like? Are they detached? And I've tried to be involved from day one to make sure they know that I care, that this is a real passion of mine, and I'm all in. And now these guys are all in. So we're having a really good time.
And of course, he came from a very successful franchise in Washington, right?
17 years as general manager in Washington. He rebuilt. The one thing I really liked about him was that after the lockout, he rebuilt the Capitals, and it started with Alexander Ovechkin. And so he drafted great players, and the result of that is 5, 6, 7 years later, they're contenders. We're still trying to figure out. They just got some unlucky breaks in terms of where the puck went, and it's not advancing. But
in the last finals, semifinals.
Yeah, last 2 years.
Pittsburgh, yeah.
They've had the most talented team
because they've totally dominated the NHL for the last 2 years.
Absolutely, points, total points. I mean, they are really a good team now. Of course, they've got 4 or 5 unrestricted free agents on that team, and probably not our target because we're going younger, and we want to again build from the ground up. But they may have had their chance this past year. You know, they're going to have to work on adding on keeping players, and they've got cap problems.
And Murray Craven.
Yeah, so he's a buddy of mine from Whitefish, played golf together, and he is, again, a real solid guy. 16 or 17 years in the NHL, a very practical, street smart. Our guys are non-ego based. They're based upon winning and putting a team together and everyone working together. And Murray typifies that as well.
And how are we set, by the way, with our TV deal? I heard, I know we have a TV deal with a company that's really not a Las Vegas company, but they're more of a regional TV provider.
Yeah, we're
going to be on cable, or do we have that all situated?
They're working on it. That's really kind of in their area of expertise and so on. The one thing they do bring to us is that our market area is Nevada, Utah, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, eastern part of California, northwestern Arizona, and they're going to put us on. We'll be on DirecTV in all of those markets. So in some of these more rural areas where it's satellite, we'll be the team of the Rockies, and that's my goal. And I know they're going to work very hard on making sure that Cox is involved and Dish is involved. I have a lot of confidence in Root Sports. They're competent. They're very good guys.
And how important is radio for listening to hockey?
It's important. It's secondary in terms of an income stream for us, because TV is one of the primary income streams, but it's exposure, and we just don't want exposure in Las Vegas. We want exposure throughout our market territory. So our radio partner is really helping us with that, and they're helping us get on radio in Salt Lake and Reno, and they have their own ownership groups in some of those locations. So we expect to be on radio and TV throughout our market area.
So look, a year from now, let's fast forward a year from now, you're looking back and we're sitting here. What would be a successful year for you?
Competitive team on the ice, developing our youth hockey program in town. I don't want to overstate what we can be or not be in the first couple of years because we're going to be building, but we should be a 70-point team would be kind of my target area. That if we can do that the first year, I think that's pretty successful.
And how about just the community exposure, attendance at the arena, that type of thing?
I want to sell out every game. We might miss a Tuesday or something or a Wednesday, but we want to sell out every game. We're sold out in season tickets. We know that when the Rangers come to town or the Blackhawks come to town, we're going to be selling.
Casinos love that.
They love it,
right? And people from New York, Chicago, coming in, catching a hockey game, going to gamble in the hotels.
A lot of
win-win, huh?
Yeah, they'd like to have a lot of Sunday afternoon games. That way, people stay over till Monday, so it keeps their hotel rooms full. We have some great casino partnerships.
Hey, I look forward to. Hey, we're going to come out to the practice arena and do some taping out there as soon as you're open. Can't wait for that.
That'd be great, Ed.
Thank you so much, Bill.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good luck.